Good evening, Tallahassee, and welcome into the November 2nd episode of FSU Weather. We've got a great show in store for you. Our camera at Doak Campbell Stadium isn't working tonight, but 84 degrees right now in Tallahassee. Just looking out the window, we've got clouds, sun around. It's looking like it's going to be a great sunset, partly cloudy, winds to about 7 miles per hour. So across the area, we've got temperatures sitting in the low 80s, mid 80s with that urban heat island effect in Tallahassee. But we are seeing a 77 in Thomasville, 76 down in Apalachicola, so it is a little bit cooler with the ocean breeze. Radar is quiet in the metro area, but then we're seeing a pop-up shower near the coast. Also a couple of showers popping up near cross state. They're going to pop up throughout the night tonight. We'll just keep our eye on that. Nothing really locally that we'll have to keep an eye on radar-wise. For tonight on FSU Weather, we're going to be talking about above-average temperatures for the next few days. Tropics aren't done yet, still a couple of storms to keep our eye on, and Hurricane Sandy 10 years later.
Hello again, Tallahassee. I hope each of you guys enjoyed your Halloween on Monday. Here in Tallahassee, we've been experiencing some much warmer temperatures than what we've been used to, and we are still continuing that dry spell we have. We're actually going to be entering a drought pretty soon due to this long spell of the past month that we haven't had that much precipitation. But we are seeing an increase of humidity, bringing us a little bit more moist temperatures. But we'll have a good show for you guys today. We're going to be looking at some of the tropics and some of these higher temperatures. Now I'm going to pass it off to Aaron for a look at the local.
That's right, Nico. Currently it's 84 degrees under partly cloudy skies, and I can assure you it is partly cloudy. We don't have the camera data here right now, but it is actually a pretty pleasant day to walk outside, perhaps go out for a walk or go out for a bike ride here around FSU. Our current radar right now across the Big Bend, we're seeing a few pop-up showers down near East Point there in Gulf County, and then over towards Cross City and Dixie County there. We also have a few showers from that sea breeze interaction happening today over the peninsula. Current temperatures across the Big Bend, we're staying for the most part in the middle 80s, as Ryan mentioned earlier. 84 here in Tallahassee. Cooler spot is actually down near Apalachicola there at 76 degrees with the influence from the sea breeze. But if you are tracking the temperatures today, we did hit a high of 86 degrees here at the airport, actually starting from a low 55. So we're actually pretty seasonally warm for this time of year, especially with that high temperature there. And the reason why is because we have that slightly drier air in place today as opposed to yesterday after that cold front come through. It was a pretty weak cold front, so not much in the way of any type of diurnal changes, but at least significantly enough to change at least from the morning to the afternoon. Current dew points were a bit drier as you make your way off to the north and west there in Donaldsonville, staying a little bit drier there at 53 degrees, and then down Tallahassee a little bit more humid as we make your way down to the coast into the 60s down to Sumatra, and then almost actually summertime levels there, 70, which is pretty oppressive humidity down near Apalachicola. Future radar, we're going to continue with this quiet weather here across much of the area. I might see perhaps a few upper level cirrus clouds coming in out from the northeast, but overall we should avoid at least precipitation and cloud cover for the most part, maybe perhaps a little shower inland there along the Nature Coast or the Forgotten Coast. Tonight across Tallahassee we're going to go down to about a low 58 degrees or so, so might need perhaps a light jacket if you're heading out the door, especially tomorrow morning under partly cloudy conditions, winds out of the northeast at 3 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, at least expanding on the overall across the area. Warmer spots are going to be down near the coast at 60 degrees there in Carabel, and our cooler spots are going to be over into southwest Georgia there with Thomasville being down into the lower 50s. Tomorrow across campus, we'll see temperatures down or up into the middle 80s, so pretty similar rinse and repeat day, or at least tomorrow as we had for today with that northeasterly winds continuing there at 7 miles per hour. Tomorrow's forecast across at least the broader area, we're also going to stick with the same story in the 80s here across much of the Big Bend. And as for the week ahead, we're going to see conditions, or these temperatures, remain pretty steadily. We might actually increase into the upper 80s as we get towards Sunday and Monday of next week. And you got to remember, too, we were sitting in the 30s like a few weeks ago, and now we're entering November. So we're actually going to flip the switch here. It's not until perhaps next Wednesday where we might see perhaps a cold front coming into the region and actually cooling things down across the Tallahassee metro area. But now I'll turn things back over to Ryan.
Thank you so much, Sharon. So The rest of Florida, we showed the radar a little bit earlier, and we weren't able to see the full effect of where our showers and storms were firing up. So we have sea breeze storms firing up all across the peninsula of Florida, but as for the Panhandle, we're looking pretty quiet. So across South Georgia and Tallahassee area, the radar is pretty quiet. Our cameras, again, are down, but 82 degrees right now at Lakefront Park, sunny skies, and winds about 6 miles per hour. So another look at radar across most of the peninsula. So notice right along I-75 near Ocala, Gainesville, that's kind of where we're starting to see those showers and storms start to pop up. And they're going to be pushing their way kind of east towards I-75 and the corridor area there. And another couple of storms starting to fire up further south near Spring Hill. Even a pop-up shower near I-4, Sanford, Lake Mary area, quick little passing shower there. Gainesville, we'll see those showers and storms around about 81 degrees, winds about 6 miles per hour. South Florida, your radar is also looking pretty active. So down near Fort Myers on south, we're seeing some pretty heavy storms firing up, but those are starting to push offshore near kind of where I-95 and I-75 go across the peninsula. And then all across kind of southeast and southwest part of Florida is where we're starting to see some showers and storms fire up. 85 right now in Miami. We aren't seeing any rain in Miami, which is kind of one of the rare exceptions for the state, with our showers and storms kind of all across the peninsula of Florida. So rainfall forecasts, we're seeing some pretty heavy rain, especially down south of Fort Myers, where we're seeing parts of 3 to 5 inches in some areas. The rest of the peninsula, just seeing some sea breeze storms as they start to push through. So maybe if you're in the peninsula, bring a raincoat with you, just something to keep you dry, maybe an umbrella, because really showers and storms are starting to fire up from the sea breeze. Taking a look at temperatures right now in Pensacola, sitting at 81, 83 in Tallahassee, a little bit cooler off near Jacksonville, sitting at 76, 79 also in Orlando. So if you're going to a theme park, maybe grab a poncho to bring with you. I know I've had to do that plenty of times before, bring a poncho with me to the theme parks. But right now you're sitting with a few clouds, 79 degrees, 82 in Tampa, and then West Palm and Miami, you're seeing about 83 degrees. You're kind of the immune spots of where we're not seeing any rain for right now. Dew points, though, like Aaron mentioned, we're seeing summer-like dew points, which is bringing very humid conditions across most of Florida. So if your hair's starting to stick up, maybe some frizz in the hair, that's why we're seeing some above-average dew points. But that's going to kind of keep our temperatures across the peninsula area. We're going to get pretty cool tonight, staying in the 50s in spots. But then as we head further south, staying at 66 across most of the central Florida area, down to 72 tonight in West Palm and Miami. So tomorrow's forecast, we're going to get into the 80s in most spots, mid to upper 80s for most of the area. Our rain showers are kind of going to subside, so for the rest of the week, we look pretty good. Now, Nico's going to talk to us about tropics.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Luckily here in Florida, everything seems pretty clear, and we don't have any threats to any tropical weather, but we are seeing 2 systems right now in the tropics, and right now, if you can believe it or not, we're already in November, the final month of the Atlantic hurricane season, and even though we're right there at the very end, it's definitely not the time to keep your guard down, because November is actually looking a little bit more active than October was. As you can see here, we got 2 systems. This is Hurricane Martin all the way in the middle of the Atlantic, and over here we got Hurricane Lisa about to make landfall in Belize. And we're also looking at this system, that an area of interest that might form into a system in the next few days. But zooming into Hurricane Lisa, as we can see right here, it's about to make landfall in Belize as a Category 1 hurricane. It's going to bring pretty devastating storm surge to the region to this Caribbean region. And also, although it's only Category 1, not bringing that much in terms of wind speed, it's definitely going to be a very big precipitation event, bringing lots of rain and flash flooding due to the topography of this region, might cause landslides, and so people should definitely take cover because this storm is going to be pretty strong. So as it moves on into the Central American region, it will weaken gradually On Thursday, 45 miles per hour, and on Friday, 35 miles per hour, and then it might make its way back into the Gulf where it can strengthen. As for the spaghetti models, they all pretty much agree that it will continue out into the Gulf in the Bay of Campeche. As for Hurricane Martin, all the way up north, for the moment, it does not seem to be affecting any land right now. It is a Category 1, expected to become a Category 2. Even though the sea surface temperatures are pretty cool in this region, it will strengthen, but it serves no risk to anybody in that region. As for the spaghetti models, they have it going more north and then making a sharp right turn back towards Europe, where it could affect the British Isles later on in the week, but it won't be anything of this strength when it reaches that area. But when the area of interest we're looking at right now, well, as you can see, there actually is nothing going on right now. There's not any moisture, but the National Hurricane Center does predict that there will be a low pressure system forming, and it could bring some rain and devastating wind to Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. As for the sea surface temperatures, as you can see right here, that the waters are pretty warm, so it's definitely conducive in a conducive environment for some system to form, and the waters right here where Lisa are still really warm, so that's why it strengthens so strong. But as for Hurricane Martin, it's not that strong it won't be that much of an effect due to the sea surface temperatures. Here you can see the water vapor imagery. That dry air should move off, and which is why the National Hurricane Center sees it producing a system. As for our tropics overview, you can see that Hurricane Martin won't cause any threat to the mainland, but Hurricane Lisa is definitely something you guys should watch. Now I'm going to pass it off to Aaron for a look at our southeast.
That's right, Nico. And like he mentioned, we're still in hurricane season, so make sure you are still hurricane prepared as it runs through November 30th of this year. So we could see these storms perhaps still form out in much of the Atlantic Ocean, but we'll have to watch at least what happens there. But taking things a little bit closer to home here across the southeast, we don't have those cameras in right now, but overall, we're sitting actually pretty cool as you go towards Virginia there at 58 degrees, and then over towards the rest of the southeast, sitting anywhere between 66 and then over towards about 81 degrees in Gainesville, Florida. Current temperatures across the broader region here, we're sitting at 83 degrees in Tallahassee, down to 82 in Tampa, and then up as you make your way upward towards Nashville, a little bit cooler there, 69 degrees. But overall remaining pretty mild and slightly warmer than average as you go, especially as you make your way down towards the Sunshine State. But overall, not a terrible time across the region. The current dew points, you can actually see kind of the split where Florida is sticking out like a sore thumb there, with those summer-like conditions still progressing there in places like Tampa, Orlando, and down over to Miami. But elsewhere across the southeast, we're remaining relatively in the drier areas. So we're seeing most of these dew points staying within the 50s. So a little bit drier, feels a little bit nicer, and the temperature is a little bit closer to the feels like temperature is a little bit closer to the actual ambient temperature here. As for temperature anomalies, this is what I was just mentioning with those warmer temperatures. Overall, staying between about 5 to 10 degrees or so above average here, at least at this current hour here around 4 o'clock across the southeast. But overall, not terrible, at least compared to the Central Plains where they're seeing actually a little bit above average from there. Current radar also showing similar picture with less in the way of any cloud cover, but we do see those showers or the sea breeze showers and storms across the spine of the state there in Florida. It's not until you make your way over towards the Carolinas, specifically up to the Piedmont and the Triad there in North Carolina, where you might see perhaps a few showers there rolling through the area. And as for our future radar, we're going to see those showers perhaps continue across Florida tonight until those break down overnight. And then tomorrow we'll actually see a rinse and repeat of those shower and thunderstorm activity there along the sea breeze boundary as you make your way over tomorrow. And then into Friday, maybe a little bit less in the way of rain chances there as we have that dry air perhaps make its way a little bit further down the state. But overall, not terrible there. But our next feature is coming in here across the left-hand side of your screen there with that cold front. Might actually bring your chances perhaps some severe weather across Arkansas and Louisiana over the next several days or so. But as for tomorrow's forecast across the southeast, we're going to see conditions still remain pretty similar as we are to today, with those temperatures for the most part remaining in the 80s. But overall, still very warm, and we'll see the same thing continue on through the rest of the week. But now we'll turn things back over to the desk with Nico and Ryan to talk a bit more about Sandy 10 years ago.
Thank you, Aaron. So yeah, this week marks 10 years since Hurricane Sandy made landfall in the mid-Atlantic region of the United States. And actually today marks 10 years since Hurricane Sandy dissipated. And I don't know about you, Ryan, but this storm was definitely one of the biggest events in my life that pushed me to study meteorology.
Yeah, I think a lot of us in the meteorology field kind of have an event that they can point back to, and I think Hurricane Sandy was that for a lot of people, yourself included. Mine was probably Hurricane Irma, but we'll talk more about that at a later date. Hurricane Sandy, which made landfall in New Jersey on October 29th, is the Cat 1.
Yeah, and it was the sixth costliest U.S. hurricane at $65 billion, and it caused 233 fatalities.
Definitely sad to hear about those deaths and $65 billion in damage. I remember seeing articles in the news about not really expecting it in New York, New Jersey, areas that aren't really used to seeing tropical storms. And it was infamous because, as looking at the models here, only one model, the European, had Sandy making landfall in the United States.
Yes, this is what kind of cemented the status of the European model of being, as in many people's eyes, being superior to the other models or being more reliable. Because for the longest time, it was the only one that showed it hitting the Mid-Atlantic region. And so that might have caused some confusion, and many people might have not been prepared. That's why you should always be prepared no matter what the models say. If there's a hurricane that's going to be close to you, it will in some way affect you. And this storm affected millions of people. Because if you could see here, the windscreen was just immense. It's actually the largest Atlantic hurricane on record by diameter.
Imagine driving from South Carolina all the way up to Maine and still feeling the effects of Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
That's what it was
It
like.
had tropical storm force winds spanning 1,150 miles. It's just an incredible storm.
And making landfall in a place like Boston, New York City, New Jersey, with so many people you see on your screen, the subway where it just flooded this underground train system in New York.
Yeah, similar to how Hurricane Andrew affected us, Hurricane Sandy really changed the landscape over there. It changed the building codes for much of these regions, and now hopefully they'll be prepared for a much stronger storm if that does occur.
Yeah, now we're going to pass it back off to Aaron at the wall.
That's right. We'll take things back a little bit closer, or not a little bit closer. We'll look at the national here outlook here across the country. So far, we're staying into the 70s across much of the nation's heartland. This is a little bit above average, though, and we are in November, so this is actually pretty warm for this time of year. I know here in Tallahassee would enjoy the 70s, but at least for our friends up in Bismarck, 76 degrees on November 2nd. That's pretty warm for this time of year. And the reason why is because we have a ridge across much of the eastern parts of the nation here, and that's what's providing that warmer air across, or that warmer air to filter in from the tropics here over across the East Coast, and then over with our friends on the West Coast with that trough digging in. They're seeing cooler conditions there with even some snow in some of the upper elevations there in the Rockies. Current dew points, we are still pretty dry as per usual across much of at least the western half of the nation there. It's actually even over to San Francisco and Los Angeles, where normally you would see the dew point a little bit higher than that. They're actually in the 40s for the dew point, so it's actually feeling not terrible over there across for our friends there in San Francisco. For wind speeds here, we have that southerly wind flow here out ahead of our next system, which will be digging in across the south here in the next several days, and actually will bring perhaps a chance of some severe weather here, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But as for here across the East Coast, eastern seaboard, we have more of that easterly wind there, or that northeasterly wind around the high pressure centered over there near Kentucky and Tennessee. For our surface analysis, there's our high right there, and with that we'll have that clockwise flow around it, and then out at least behind the high pressure. This is our next system that we'll be looking at here. That's starting to situate here across Colorado over to Utah and then over towards Los Angeles there. We'll see this past the Four Corners into the Central Plains here, where we'll first see that perhaps the line of convection and perhaps a squall might come out of it here, at least across the northern portions of Texas and Oklahoma, across the Red River. Our water vapor, we're seeing that southerly flow out ahead of the trough here with that low pressure that'll begin to form there across the Four Corners. And at least for our area, we're seeing slightly drier air as we feel outside there with those dew points closer to 50 there. It's not until you make your way down towards Central and South Florida where you see that more of that summer-like weather there across the areas. So for the Pacific Northwest, we do have a little bit of a swirl there. So perhaps a low pressure area centered near Seattle that's bringing some of these coastal showers here across Portland, along the coast, Pacific Northwest coast right there. It's not until you perhaps get to some of these more upper elevations near the mountains where you might actually see some snow this time of year here. So places like Washington, Oregon, and over to Idaho, and even into Montana, perhaps seeing those white-covered snow peaks there. As for the central U.S., we're remaining pretty dry here with perhaps a few upper-level clouds passing through Nebraska, Kansas, over into Minnesota there. So, but overall, still pretty dry and not a shower, at least expected there. Across the Northeast, also pretty sunny day out there. It's a really nice day. It's not until you get towards the mid-Atlantic where you might see perhaps a few upper-level clouds out ahead of this minor disturbance there across the Appalachians. But overall, really nice. And then across the Gulf, also staying pretty dry. Maybe a few little showers here over to Houston, where again, at least inspired by some of that heating from the day here. And then again, we also have those sea breeze showers and thunderstorms over towards the Florida Peninsula. And as we make our way back over to the West Coast here, that snow is still progressing across Nevada over to the Cascades and into the Sierra Nevadas there across the West Coast. As for tomorrow's temperatures, we'll actually see that quite a divide there with that cold front starting to set up shop there across the plains. And we have those warmer conditions still progressing throughout much of the southeast and much of the eastern country. But honestly, I'm waiting for those cooler temperatures to come at least to our area. Nico, how about you?
Yeah, I hope so, because as much as I like these warm temperatures, because I'm from Miami, I definitely want a big change of pace, because I'd like the Tallahassee coolness. And unfortunately, our cameras are still not working, so we can't see what the live looks at the Sportsplex or at Panama City and the rest of the Big Bend region. But if it's anything like what we had earlier today in Tallahassee, it should be a pretty nice sunset. And again, we do not have a live look at Doak, but it is partly cloudy at 84 degrees and a slight wind from the north from 7 miles per hour. But as far as airport delays here in Tallahassee, we've got no delays in sight. As I said before, it was 84 degrees, and we've got pretty clear skies for our pilots out tonight. And as for the rest of the country, it seems like we have a similar pattern. We do not have any delays in any of these cities listed. Tallahassee, Atlanta, all looking like we're going to have good clear skies for our pilots. And as for our dog walk forecast, it's going to be pretty nice tomorrow. 7 a.m. starting at 59, pretty cool. It's going to gradually increase 64 at 9 a.m. and 73 at 11 a.m. So pretty nice conditions for a dog walk, I would say so. And as for our stargazing forecast, we do have some clouds in the forecast, so it won't be good conditions, but it will be fair. We have a 13% waxing crescent moon, so it will be a nice night. But unfortunately, we won't have like the stargazing we've had these past few days. And for Thursday night football, the Eagles at the Texans. Eagles are undefeated right now, looking to make it 7-0, I believe. Right now it's 75 degrees, partly cloudy. That's what we expect, 75 degrees, partly cloudy at Houston, Texas. But our Noles are going to go down into Hard Rock Stadium in Miami on Saturday. It's going to actually be a pretty warm night at 79 degrees. It will be beautiful, though. Hopefully we have a great atmosphere. The last time the Noles went into Hard Rock Stadium, we actually did not have a good time. We got dominated, over 30-point loss. But this is a new-look Noles. Hopefully this time is different, and we're gonna bring home the victory from Miami. And as for FSU women's soccer, our defending national champions are playing in Cary, North Carolina for the ACC championship. Hopefully we get some sweet revenge against Notre Dame. We lost to them 4-0 earlier this season, but this is where it really counts. This is where we can make the final and once again win another ACC championship. Over there, it's going to be a nice night at 62 degrees and partly cloudy. As for our weekend forecast, things are going to look pretty nice here in Tallahassee. Low rain chances and really nice temperatures. Now we're passing it off to Ryan for a look at our local.
Thank you so much, Nico. Again, it looks like it's going to be a decent weekend around. I wonder if the engineers have tried using like duct tape on the camera. I think that always seems to work for me. Our radar's working though. Hey, at least something around here works, right? All right. So radar-wise, we're seeing some lightning pop up near Cross City, so that thunderstorm is getting going near I-75. So if you're driving along I-75 near Cross City, you might hit a little bump of traffic, people starting to slow down because of the storms. When you're driving in rain, remember, don't use flashers. Just use your regular headlights and slow down. Keep some safe distance between you and the car in front of you. 84 degrees in Tallahassee, 81 over in Quincy, 80 in Monticello. Just looking like a great night with temperatures starting to work their way down into the low 80s, even a couple of 70s in spots. 86 was the high temperature today in Tallahassee. And we were just a few degrees shy of our record set back in 2015, of 89 degrees and well above average of 77 degrees. Thankfully, nowhere near our low of 28 degrees, our record low. way below freezing. 54 degrees or 54 is the current dew point in Donaldsonville, 62 in Tallahassee. As you go kind of further south into Florida, into the viewing areas where you kind of see more humidity. I noticed on the walk over here, I was starting to sweat some. It's kind of getting uncomfortable now. So for taking a look at Futurecast, we're pretty quiet. Just a couple pop-up showers along the coast. Nothing really else to speak of in that way. And tonight in Tallahassee, sitting at about 58 degrees, partly cloudy, winds about 3 miles per hour. So if you're going to go south on Landis, do some homework, it's going to be a great night to just be out and about in Tallahassee. Maybe even grab a low light sweatshirt to keep you warm. 56 degrees tonight in Tallahassee, 59 over in St. Mark's, sitting at 56 degrees in Perry, 54 in Valdosta. So all across the area, we're seeing temperatures in the 50s that are going to keep it kind of blanket weather almost. 84 degrees is the high for tomorrow. Sunny, just looking like a great day to be out and about. Maybe a little bit warmer. I know in the morning, maybe bring a little sweatshirt with you. But as the day goes on, you'll be able to take that sweatshirt off. You won't need it as much. Staying at 84 degrees, almost like summer weather with that summer humidity. 80 degrees in Thomasville tomorrow, 82 in Monticello. And as we get towards Perry, staying at about 84 degrees. Madison also at 83 degrees. So taking a look at the week ahead, 84 degrees is the high temperature for tomorrow. Getting to 84 by Friday and Saturday. If you're going down to Miami, I think there's going to be some great weather down there. 87 degrees by Sunday. Really, our next chance for rain is mid-next week. Aaron.
That's right. As we close out our show tonight, we do have the chance perhaps of seeing a shower or two next week as we have that cold front, another cold front that'll make its way down in the southeast and perhaps bring us a little bit of a relief from that really not oppressive, but that very warmer temperatures we're experiencing here. But overall, the reason why we have that is because we have that ridge off to the eastern part of the United States, which is bringing that warmer than average air across much of the East Coast, and then that trough over and along the West Coast, which of course is bringing those cold fronts and those storm systems there. But as we talk about hurricane season, as we wrap around hurricane season here, ending in about a month or so, Sandy is actually a good reminder that we could still see these storms form there, and actually even as weak as a Category 1 hurricane can still cause a good amount of damage. So even Lisa making landfall down near Belize, especially in those bay and inlets, could see some flooding. But do remember to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/FSU weather, and also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/FSU weather. And if you're not already watching us, make sure you watch us live on YouTube at youtube.com/FSU weather. And also follow us on Instagram at FSU weather to see all the latest pictures and information from FSU weather. But don't forget, you can always watch us here on YouTube at 6 to 6:30 every weekday here as we give you the latest weather here across Tallahassee and the broader area. But now we'll turn things back over to the wall with Nico to take us run through one last look at our 7-day.
So yeah, Tallahassee, you can be expecting a pretty nice week overall. We are going to continue to see that above average temperatures on Sunday. We're going to have a high of 87, pretty warm, and our lows are also pretty high in the upper to mid 60s. The only rain you'll be expecting will be next Wednesday at 50%, and you can see some cool down in temperatures. I'm student meteorologist Nicholas Porcelli. Thank you for watching.